CRM was supposed to improve customer relationships. Instead, it's shorthand for Customer Rage Machine. Your CRM can't explain why a customer's package took 5 detours? Reboot your inner peace and scream into a pillow. It's okay. On the ServiceNow AI platform, CRM stands for something better. AI agents don't just track issues, they resolve them, transforming the entire customer experience. So breathe in and breathe out. Bad CRM was then. This is ServiceNow.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn. Welcome to How We're the podcast from Walker Report. And today we have something a little special in terms of looking ahead to what's coming in pre-season. Because today we speak to someone who not only had 5 years with Sunderland, but he had 6 years at Celtic, over 80 caps for Scotland, and over 10 years at Hearts even. Which is why he has deservedly been given a testimonial on the 26th of July against the lads at Tynecastle. And today we have the honour of speaking to the man himself, which is, of course, Craig Gordon. Hello, Craig.
Hiya, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How's your summer?
It's been all right. Unfortunately, picked up an injury towards the end of last season, so it's been a bit of a recovery summer doing rehab. Something, unfortunately, that has kind of followed me around in my career. Sunderland fans won't need reminded of that, rather. Quite a few injuries when I was down there, and yeah, another one at the moment. So battling to try and be ready for the testimonial.
I was just about to say, is it touch and go then, or are you looking good for it?
It's going to be tight. It's going to be close. I think I'll be okay to play some part in the match. I don't think I'll play 90 minutes, but yeah, definitely looking to try and get on the pitch at some point.
Well, can you not come on and be that lazy number 10 that does out and just kind of strolls around and?
Do you know what? I would much probably prefer that. See if I can get a shot on target as well. That would be good. But yeah, hopefully I'll get on. I'll potentially second half, but I'll need to see closer at the time how things are going. Stepping up the rehab day by day at the moment, so I'll just wait and see where I'm at when the game comes around.
What's it? Just have a word with someone just to kind of go in with a daft tackle to give a penalty away or something in the last 10 minutes, and you can come on, get all the glory. And
yeah, I'm not guaranteed to score it, so I think I'd probably just stay away from that one, even if there was a penalty.
Well, look, before we kind of get any further with this, because you talked about this, and I'm actually turning 42 on the day of your testimonial. It's actually my birthday on the day of the testimonial. Because I say this because I want to tip my hat to you, because I'm starting to make creaking noises, just getting out of bed. I'm pulling my hammy, just playing footy with the Bens in the garden. But you're still playing at the top level, and there's 6 months between us, and that means going through the likes of pre-season and everything that comes with that. You're talking about rehab. I mean, it shows, first of all, how fit you've kept yourself, but you must just absolutely love it since you keep coming back for more. Yeah,
I do. We're talking earlier before we come on. I got 4 kids, so that's going to keep me busy, keep me young, keep me active. So there's no time to rest. So I'm always on my toes, and I think that's probably helped prolong my career as well.
Yeah.
But it's also great for them to come along and to watch me, and that's a great motivation for me to keep going, is just to see them coming along to watch and support their dad, and trying to play as long as I possibly can so they can remember it when they're older as well. So there's that side to it too.
Yeah, sounds good. And well, let's get into it, because we're talking about this kind of fantastic career that you've had and you're still having, of course. Want to go back to where it all began, because look, it's ending at Hearts potentially, but it all began at Hearts, and you came through 2003, 2004 under Craig Levein, and I've read that he kind of wanted to give his up and coming 21, 22-year-old a few games, and then when he did, he couldn't take you out of the team. And then by the end of that season, you're being awarded the Football Writers Young Player, the SPL Young Player of the Year. So, I mean, just looking back on that, how you kind of burst through, I mean, can you remember thinking that it happened really quickly and you just kind of burst on? Or did you think that actually, no, I'd waited long enough for me chance and you were confident that you could make that impact?
Yeah, I mean, I better watch what I'm saying here. I'm not sure goalkeepers burst onto the scene. I think my old manager at Sunderland, Roy Keane, would have something to say about that. But yeah, that first breakthrough season when I came into the team and everything went so well. I got in the team just as the team started on a sort of upward trajectory. They had a poor start to the season, but then they were coming good when I got in the team, and we went on to have quite a successful season. And just I happened to be in the team at the right time. The club at the time didn't have a lot of money to go and spend on players, so they were having to sort of push from within their own academy boys into the first team. Probably a little bit younger than perhaps they were even ready, but it was great experience to be there at that time, and to come through. And yeah, the first season couldn't have went any better. All that excitement of finally getting that chance in the first team is everything you ever worked for. That was my team growing up. So to play for my boyhood heroes in the first team, it was just so exciting, and the adrenaline just carried me through that entire season. And yeah, as you say, a few awards at the end of it, which is always nice. And also made my Scotland debut pretty soon after that as well, which was just an absolute whirlwind of a first year.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think if we did say that to Roy Keane, I think if he did say something, I'd respond that was students of the game and see how he responded to that. But yeah, I mean, look, in those first few years, because even just reading about it, I mean, you're in a side that's finishing in the top 5, runners up one year as well. You losing semi-finalists twice in the cups, and in 2006, of course, you save a penalty in the shootout to help Hearts win the Scottish Cup, where you broke poor Gretna's Hearts in the final. I'm not sure how you could do that at the time, but as you said, you became a full international very quickly after getting in the side. I mean, when you start looking into it, the start of your career, it was funny when I was reading it, but it's proper kind of Roy of the Rovers stuff. You coming in and doing all of that in that short space of time very quickly. I mean, that mustn't have been an amazing time for you.
Yeah, and probably only now looking back, I think having this testimonial and starting to look back, and people have been putting footage together and old photos, and it's only at this stage, I think when you're young and you're making your way in your career, it's always about the next thing, about striving to get better, to improve, to get the next move, to get the next contract. You're always looking for something in the future, and it's something I've not really done until now. Is start to look back or think about the past, until that all kind of got displayed in front of me, and I sit down and look at it, and I think, wow, how did that all happen? And it just seemed to go one thing to the next thing, and all very, very positive, and until the injuries started hitting. But it certainly was an unbelievable start to my career.
Was it one of them when you're young, you're not even thinking about the scale of anything, you're just looking at the next game and all of this is just happening around you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was just in the moment, just enjoying playing football, enjoying the challenge. Every week was a different challenge, a new ground that I'd never played at, and playing in front of 10, 15,000, wherever it was you were going. It was that was something that I'd never done before. So the excitement and the just being ready for the games, the nervousness, the nervous energy you have going into them, and as a young player, starting to be recognised in the street, like all these things all come at once. And I think I managed to take that all in my stride, especially first year, and kind of use that energy to make myself as good as I could be, and continue that form on.
Yeah, well, look, speaking of dealing with things for the first time, it was also the Vladimir Romanov era. And I noticed he said he wanted to win the Champions League with Hearts when he took over, which might say a lot about his ambition. But it was kind of just less than a year before you left that you kind of got involved in let's say kind of club politics off the field, as you backed a public statement that Stephen Presley delivered on the behalf of the players. But I was looking, you're still only 23, 24 at the time. So it shows, you're talking about this has been your club and you're coming through and you're still a young player. But it shows how strongly you felt that even though you're at that stage of your career, you were kind of there and said, no, I want to kind of back this up.
Yeah, I think when Vladimir Romanov came in, everything started so well. We brought in some bigger name players than we had been doing previously. We started the league so well, but when he started chopping and changing managers 2 or 3 a season, and bringing in signing after signing, I think at one point we probably had about 60 or 70 players at the club. It got a bit crazy. You never quite knew who was in the squad or not, and there was even rumours about who was picking the team at certain times. So it did become a bit messy, and I just felt at that stage that we had such a great base to go on and actually achieve things and win more, and potentially disrupt the big 2 teams in the country more often. And I just felt we were starting to waste that opportunity, and that was the reason I thought, at that time we could help get things back in the straight and narrow and improve the club.
Yeah, the way you were describing the season there, there was a period of time where that was a standard Sunderland season, actually, going through God knows how many managers and players and all that sort of stuff. But as I say, you're coming through and you're kind of playing in these high-profile games. You're playing for Scotland, and the rumour mill is constantly throwing out rumours that you were going to move away from Hearts. And it seemed, was it potentially, that kind of standing there with Stephen Presley, because I think he left quite soon after, and I think Paul Hartley did, if I remember rightly, who was also involved in that. Was that part of you leaving, or do you think that it wouldn't have changed anything in the
No,
long
I don't
term?
I don't think it changed anything. I became the club captain not long after that. I think that was there was always the potential to sell me on, and I think that was used along with the captaincy to try and make it, more desirable for somebody to come in and pay money to take me. I think they were always looking to sell me on at some point. So I don't think that changed anything too much in terms of that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that rumour mill, because I think it was Man United, apparently Rangers, I remember Villa, but Arsene Wenger was speaking publicly as well as about how much he kind of liked you as a player. And this was kind of going on for quite some time. But in the summer of 2007, you did join Sunderland, and we just gained promotion to the Premier League under Roy Keane. So I imagine with all of these rumours going on about these high-profile clubs at the other end of the table, if you like, it must have been some discussion that went on for you to go, actually, I'm looking at this club who's just come up to the Premier League, but I like the sound of what's happening there, and I like the project, because, I mean, I assume you had kind of other offers on the table at the time.
There was only one other offer that was on the table. It was from Aston Villa. Martin O'Neill was the manager there at that point. Obviously knew me from his time at Celtic playing against them. So they were in the market at the same time. But Hearts didn't want to sell to an ex-Celtic manager. And it became clear that I was getting pushed in one direction only. So they wouldn't they wouldn't accept the bids from Villa no matter what it was. I think Villa actually ended up bidding more and they still wouldn't accept it. So Sunderland became the one and only option, which I was quite pleased about. It's a fantastic club. Obviously, it's not even too far away. It's only a couple of hours from here. So I knew my family could come down and watch the games. And when I went to visit Sunderland, seen the Stadium of Light, seen the Academy of Light, and everything that was going on at Sunderland, I was totally blown away by it, and couldn't wait to join. And I played my first game just a few days later, and it was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, just you did mention the money there, and it ended up being 9 million, which kind of British transfer record fee for a goalkeeper at the time wasn't actually broken. I was surprised by this. It wasn't broken until David De Gea moved to Manchester United a few years later. But when you're subject of a big transfer like that, that's got a tag to it. It's like you are that transfer record. I mean, is it something you actually want to embrace, or is it something you just want to ignore, put to one side, and just focus on your game?
I think kind of double-edged sword. I think for me that when you were good, it was there he's showing his worth, and then when you were bad, it was how did they pay that much? So there was positives and negatives to it. I'd have probably preferred at that age that I was probably under the record, that I could have, come into the Premier League and found my feet. I was still only 24, which is still fairly young for a goalkeeper. So it was, it was a bit of both. It's always going to be difficult to try and live up to that as a goalkeeper. You do the same job whether you're 1 million or 50 million. It's keeping the ball at the back of the net, and that's what you should get judged on. But yeah, the price tag was definitely something that other people wanted to talk about.
Yeah, it's easy headlines for them, isn't it? When there's already a tag like that, isn't it? Depending on what happens. But obviously we had Roy Keane as manager. I mean, how did that play in your head? Were you kind of tentative about that, or were you thinking, yes, actually, this is Roy Keane. I wouldn't mind playing for him and seeing what's what. Yeah,
absolutely. I thought he was really well organised, had a good group of players that absolutely fought to the end for everything. That's one of the biggest memories that I have from playing in that team, was the sort of togetherness those first couple of years to make sure that we stayed in the league. So many late goals, and nicking points when we didn't look like it, and we ended up staying in the league. And I think at the time we didn't think it was such a big achievement, but you look how difficult it is nowadays for teams to come up and stay up that first season. Sunderland are going to have to do that again this year. But it looks good. The signings that Sunderland are making sort of pre-season at the moment, the team's starting to take shape. So it looks like they're going to have a real good go at it. And with the backing that you can get at the Stadium of Light, then I think that's going to make a huge bearing on them winning points, a bit like what we did back in 2007, 2008, when we were getting the victories against teams that were much further up the table, especially at home. So yes, it's a huge asset for them, for you guys to have that. And yeah, hope it works out the same as what it did for us.
Yeah. I think everyone's keeping their fingers crossed, because it's pretty tough at the minute to stay there. But actually, just quickly on Roy Keane, are you surprised actually he hasn't had more managerial roles?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's been offered, if he's turned anything down on that, but I think that was success. To get Sunderland up, to stay in that league. We stayed in the league the whole 5 years that I was there. Some more comfortably than others, but we did manage to stay there. And I think everybody was always looking for that next step to try and push up the table, get in the top half, get into European places. And that's tough. There's a lot of teams that are vying for that. So that was always going to be a big step, and maybe a longer term project than anybody realised. Unfortunately, we never quite got up that far up the table. But yeah, I think you can definitely think about that as a success for the sort of 2.5 years that he was there.
Yeah, definitely. And you've already kind of touched on it, especially with the asset that it might be this season, because we'll look at your debut, which you said was only a few days. So it was, again, a bit of a whirlwind move. Yeah. And then you in opening day of the season, Stadium of Light. It was against Spurs in front of a full house. Sky cameras were there. And then you keep a clean sheet, which is the first tick in the boxes. Yeah. But then Michael Chopra, last minute, scores the winner to take the roof off the stadium. And I imagine at that point, you're probably thinking, after the final whistle, you're thinking about your decision to join the club, and you're thinking, yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind a bit of this.
Absolutely. What a game. And what a way to win it. Getting back into the Premier League and winning in the last minute at home against a very decent Spurs team. That was a great feeling. And that feels like, we've arrived. We're in the Premier League, winning our home matches. What a start.
Yeah, proper big moment in the history of Stadium of Light. That everyone who was there remembers that. And then actually in the November of that first season when we're there, it was your first Tynecastle derby at the Stadium of Light, also in front of a full house. It ended 1-1. We took the lead just after half time, actually, with a header from Danny Higginbottom, and then James Milner equalised not long after. I think you played in 2 more. I think you drew 2 and lost 1. Obviously, you've played in huge derbies in Scotland, big European ties, big internationals. So how does the Tynecastle derby compare with those other huge games you've played in?
Yeah, right up there. I didn't manage to win one, which is probably one of the most annoying things about the 5 years that I was there. I was at the club, but not on the pitch when Kieran Richardson scored. Stadium of Light, I still remember that one. That was a fantastic game, great goal, and another really good memory, even though it wasn't a playing one, but just to be there. And yeah, there was some good moments. I remember Simon Mignolet's penalty save at Newcastle as well. So there was definitely a few highlights here and there. But yeah, not playing in a win was something that I always remember. It didn't quite go to plan. But yeah, great games. If you want to compare them, like Celtic Rangers is also huge. I enjoyed playing in those games. Had a very good record in them. But I think no matter where it is, whether it's Newcastle, Sunderland, Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, that's the derby that matters to that city. And everybody will tell you that's the most important one. And that's what makes them so special. So that was a really big fixture. Everybody's looking for that. And I think that's just what football is all round. I've managed to play in a few different ones, but to say one's better than the other, I think that's very difficult.
Yeah, and with those things, it's always the week before and the week after that's just as big as the 90 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, and for everybody else that has to go to work and workplaces with mixed fan groups, that is probably worse for them. If you're a player, you can kind of hide away for that week after if it's not going to plan, but the fans don't get that opportunity.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks of hell usually, which we're looking forward to this season, of course. But you've actually touched on it a little bit as well, I think, because the next season, Roy Keane tried to take us up to that next level. He brought in the likes of Chimbonda, Diouf, Mulbrown, Cisse. They were just a few that came in. There were plenty others. But could you actually feel the atmosphere changing a little bit as Roy Keane's trying to bring this different set of players in?
Yeah, and brought a lot of sort of players with more Premier League experience. I think that was the view, to try and bring the rest of the squad up with them. And we'd had that real togetherness, that real spirit, and then maybe we brought in maybe a few too many, rather than just adding a few at a time. There were much bigger names, sort of more star players than what we'd had previously, and it was about trying to get that balance right. And for whatever reason, it didn't quite click, especially at the start of the season. I think it kind of progressed a little bit. Obviously, managed to stay in the league in the end, albeit only just. But it was that was a difficult season, and it's always probably more difficult for the second season. I think we've seen that a lot in the Premier League, that if you do manage to survive that first season, that the second season can be even harder. That excitement's gone, that adrenaline that you get from being there, that determination to prove everybody wrong isn't quite at the same level as what it is that first season. And I think we used that a lot first season, to punch above our weight. And second season, those feelings are not quite the same, and you have to maybe rely a little bit more on the technical side of the game rather than your emotions. And that was where we came a little bit unstuck.
Yeah, I think, I think that's it. That second season, I think you only played 14 games because it was the knee injury, I think, in that second season. But you played, I think, in Roy Keane's last game, which was the 4-1 home defeat to Bolton Wanderers. But even for fans, we weren't particularly doing great that season. We were kind of up and down. But I think even for fans, it was a bit of a shock that he ended up leaving. Was it the same for the players?
Yeah, I'd just come back. I'd been out with a broken ankle. I broke a bone in my ankle, and that was my first game back. I actually re-broke it again in the first half. I got to half time and said that it had happened again, and I was struggling to play the rest of the game. We made the 3 outfield subs not long after half time, and I got left on the pitch to play the whole second half with a broken bone in my ankle. I could hardly move around my 6-yard box. I probably should have done better for at least one of the goals first half. But yeah, I was in a lot of pain and missed.
You had a decent excuse, to be fair.
I missed it 3-4 months after that again with the re-break of the ankle bone. So that's not a game that sticks in my memory with too much fondness.
Yeah. But was there a feeling of shock because Keane's this character where I imagine kind of everyone's, well, there's a lot of players probably there because of Roy Keane, and then suddenly, he's just gone and he didn't really explain it and he's not there and he just disappears almost. I mean, was there a feeling of shock that he'd just gone and there wasn't that much explanation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of happens. When a manager gets the sack, it is like everybody is together one day and then all of a sudden it's changed and everybody's gone. And more often than not, it's probably the last time you speak to that manager, see him in that capacity. So that it is very sudden. And obviously, nowadays, the chopping and changing that goes on with managers, it happens more and more. Yeah, it was sudden. It was a surprise to the players. We still felt we were fighting. We were trying our best. There was no suggestion that the dressing room wasn't behind them at all. But yeah, that was the last game.
Yeah. So there was no text message from you like there was from Dwight York that he kept talking about.
No,
I think he just said or something like that. I can't remember what it was now, but obviously Ricky Sprazier keeps us up. Then it was all changed with Steve Bruce that summer, and it had again a completely different feel about it. But obviously, I mean, again, two completely different characters on the face of it, because Steve Bruce, on paper, he just feels like this arm round the shoulder type manager, whereas Roy Keane doesn't necessarily on paper. But did it have a different feel about it again when you came back that summer?
Yeah, and I think you're right. And that was kind of the opposite, and I think it had a good reaction. When you've had something and it flips around, it's totally different, it's new. It's obviously very well received, and to start with, under Steve Bruce, we were doing really well. In the top half of the table, some memorable wins as well. The 3-0 at Chelsea was a big one. That's obviously one that sticks in my mind as being a huge result. I think they were top of the league at the time. And we had a forward line with Asamoah Gyan, Dan Bent, Fraser Campbell, with guys that could score goals, really good forward players. And Jordan Henderson in midfield that could run more than any other player in the league, I think, at that point. It just was a really good, really well-balanced team. And yeah, I think that was probably my favourite time playing in that team was when we were going along so well that season.
Yeah, brilliant memory. So funny, I got lost in thought there because I was on my honeymoon when we beat Chelsea 3-0. And I on a cruise ship in a bar, an American cruise liner, and I got asked to calm down in the bar because we were beating Chelsea 3-0.
Yeah.
But that's a different story anyway. Because that season, you started on the bench before she were in, and you played 14 games that season before, due to a knee injury. But as we said, but then in the November, there's an incident with Jermaine Defoe at White Hart Lane where you broke your arm, but you still came back and played 30 games that season in Steve Bruce's in his first full season. But was that where kind of the injuries really start in terms of that arm, the injury, the broken arm, the broken ankle, and then redoing that? Is this kind of where it all begins?
Yeah. So first of all was the ankle. I'd done that in training the day before we were supposed to play Newcastle. Didn't play in that game, and was out for 3 months. Came back, played one game, and was out for another 3 months. And that was also Roy Keane's last game. And then I broke my arm. I came back from that. I re-broke it in probably the first training session that I was back. So I broke my arm, had the metal plate put in my arm. I then came back after 3 months, played the rest of the season, got the metal plate taken out, came back to pre-season and done it again on the first or second day of pre-season. So then missed the start of the season with that. So ended up with 3 operations on my arm because the metalwork had to go back in. It's still there to this day. So each time that was 3 months for 3 operations. But, I shouldn't really have taken that long, but I was very unlucky with it. And then off the back of that, training hard to try and get back in, I started with the problems in my knee, and sort of partially tore my patella tendon, and that was the thing that caused me the most problems, and almost ended my career towards the end of my time at Sunderland. And probably at that time, I thought I had played my final game. But yeah, that was just one thing after another. I just couldn't get fit for any length of time, and something else would happen. And yeah, that was probably the hardest time in my career at that point for injuries.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously frustrating for yourself, but we knew how good a goalkeeper you were, and it was frustrating for us as well that we couldn't get you on the pitch. And we obviously bring Simon Mignolet in as you mentioned, but you made 15 appearances in 2010, 2011 as you're trying to get back. And in one of those games, you make what was voted as the best save of the first 20 years of the Premier League against Bolton in December 2010. Now, I was watching the clip earlier, and the commentator said something like, I think it was non-American stream, but it was a British commentator. I'm not quite sure who it was. But he said something along the lines of, and I think he compared it to Jimmy Montgomery. And I think he said, you know what they're like with remembering big saves around this place and all this sort of stuff. And I think he said something like, I'm sure Craig Gordon will never get tired of the save being mentioned. Do you still enjoy being asked about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, any goalie would. Obviously, Sunderland have got a few to look back on. You mentioned Jim Montgomery there, and obviously Patterson in the cup final, the playoff final just there. So, I mean, those are huge moments that have led to massive things for the club. Obviously, 1973 winning the cup and getting promoted to the Premier League. Mine got 3 points against Bolton. I mean, that, and a 1-0 win. It's not quite the same. So I think I probably have to take third place behind those guys in terms of importance. But it was a nice save, one that I'm obviously very happy about. Still proud to this day to have achieved that. I think we actually had our Christmas night out straight after that save, so it was a good night. I enjoyed the save, I enjoyed the night, so it was good.
Good timing. Well, do you do that thing that goalkeepers do? Because even Jimmy Montgomery, when he gets asked about the 73 Cup final, he always turns around and says, "Well, I made some better saves than that in my career."
At the time, I probably didn't realise until I seen it back. I didn't realise what had actually happened and how close it was, and how I managed to get it over the bar and how the ball spun up like that. So, yeah, at the time, I got interviewed after the game, and I never really thought too much about it. I thought, yeah, it's a good save. But then when I actually watched it back, I really don't know how I managed to get it from there up and over onto the roof of the net. But sometimes you need a little bit of luck, and just the way the ball hit my hand, the spin that it took, managed to get it up and over.
I'm surprised you didn't know, because I'm sure Lee Catton will give you a big sloppy kiss as soon as you did it. I'm surprised you didn't know how good it was. But yeah, I mean, the following year, look, Martin O'Neill comes in, he takes over from Steve Bruce. And you, right at the end of that season, you came back for kind of one game against Bolton. I think it was the third last game of the season, which was your last game. But had you already had discussions about what was happening, that was going to be your last game, that you were going to leave the club, or was all that talk still going on?
No, so I'd spoken to Martin O'Neill, who was the manager then, and he said he wanted to see me in a game before he made the decision on whether to offer me a new contract. And yeah, I played in the game. I actually played quite well. I felt in the game. And they also decided after that they weren't going to offer me a contract. But it was disappointing. It was a sad way to leave. I did know that there was still problems with my injury. I took a lot of painkillers to play on that day just to try and prove that I wanted to stay and I was still wanting to be part of the team. But I think by playing in that game, in terms of injury insurance, I was proven to be fit, and then the club were then able to release me. So that was a bit of a sour end to that one.
Yeah. And then you've already touched on it, that kind of 2 years out after that, after you left Sunderland to get over that kind of knee problem and get back playing. You hinted earlier that there was a chance that you might not get back. I mean, were you always confident in that time that you would, or was there some doubts in that time where you just thought, actually, I might just call it a day? Yeah,
absolutely. To start with, the first year, I didn't really try to do much to get back. I thought that the knee was too bad. I'd been told that by a couple of specialists that this was pretty serious and I probably wouldn't get back. But over the first year, it started to feel a little bit better, to the point where I thought I could get back into rehab in the second year. I took the whole second year to rehab to try and just give it that one last shot to make sure that I hadn't kind of left anything out there, that I was going to do everything I possibly could to give it one last effort. And if at the end of that year it still wasn't good enough, then I could accept that I'd given it one last go and it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. So when you do start feeling like you might actually be able to do it and might be able to get back in, how do you go about that? I mean, is that kind of talking to an agent to say, look, put my name back out there? Or do you just say to teams, can I just train with you for a little bit? I mean, how do you go about it after that length of time out?
Yeah, well, it was the goalkeeping coach with Scotland that sort of invited me into his club, which was Rangers at the time. He was the guy that got me my first contract at sort of 15, 16 years old at Hearts. And he called me up and said, why don't we give it one last shot? Got a really good physio here. He'd like to have a look at you and we can see how you are. And I was there for 8 or 9 months doing the rehab with them and trying to get myself to a position that was able to play games again.
Well, you do end up signing for Celtic, and he is, well, when again going through it and put it you're reading through your career. To me, this is almost the second Roy of the Rovers story. You've got the first one coming through, and then you've got this one because 2 years out, you end up going to Celtic. You stay there for 6 years, around 250 appearances, more than you did for Hearts and Sunderland. 5 Premiership titles, 2 Scottish Cups, 5 Scottish League Cups. You get back into the Scotland squad, named PFA Team of the Year, Football Writers Player of the Year for a second time, like you were when you were at Hearts. I mean, after 2 years out, you just must have loved every single minute of that.
Yeah, and especially that first year, from going from playing 1 game in 3 seasons nearly to then playing 50 games in my first season back. And you could never imagine being able to do that from the position that I was in. I didn't believe it myself. It was just week to week, managed to just keep going, playing in a fantastic team, great defenders round about me, Virgil van Dijk in front of me to protect me. It was an absolute dream to come back into the play behind him, and the way he would defend really protected me, especially in that first year back. So it was a great team to come into, and yeah, it was absolutely the best way to come back to be able to play at that level and play that amount of games. Yeah, it was beyond what I could have hoped for.
Yeah, I mean, we almost, Champions League games or whatever, or we're getting back into that Scotland game, we almost pinching yourself saying, I can't believe I've gone back, from that 2 years to not play and not being able to play, and thinking you're not going to play potentially, and you're back on the biggest stage. I mean, it must be one of them kind of pinch yourself moments.
Yeah, I mean, again, it all happened so quickly. From getting back, I joined Celtic as one of 3 goalkeepers. There was no expectations to start the season. Fraser Forster had been the number 1 there. He got a move. So when he moved on to Southampton, it left an opportunity. I think if things hadn't gone well in the first few games, they probably would have looked to sign another goalkeeper. But it did. Went in and sort of hit the ground running. Managed to stay in the team and do well in that first part of the season until the transfer window closed, which was the first objective. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. I say I had a great relationship with the guys in front of me. And we had a wonderful season. I was back playing European football. A few months later, I was back in the Scotland squad. But, from nothing to be able to do that in just a few months' time was, yeah, as you say, you're talking your Roy of the Rovers stuff. And that is what it felt like. I couldn't believe that I was back at that level so soon. It certainly wasn't my plan. I was loving every minute of it, but it was, something that came more quickly than I anticipated.
If it's not your plan, it's not not a bad accident, is it, to
Yeah.
to do all that? But you left Celtic and you rejoined Hearts back in 2020, back where it all began, of course. And actually, at the beginning, it must have been great to help them back into the Premiership, because when you joined, they were in the Championship. So straight off, it must have been great to help them back into the top division.
Yeah, I mean, that had to happen at the first attempt. They got relegated in the COVID season when they had to cut the league short. And yeah, had to get back from the Championship at that first opportunity, which we managed to do. It was obviously very strange for everybody playing games at that time with empty stadiums. But we managed to get through that and get enough points to get ourselves back into the Premier League and give us that base to then go on. And first season up, we were excellent. We finished third. We got back into European football, which was is always what we aim for. But to do that first season back out of the Championship was excellent.
Yeah, that's it. And you've been playing there regularly. Picked up a couple of injuries, I think, while you've been there. But 46 games last season. But are you just in a place now where you're just, and obviously you're saying you're doing rehab, trying to get back, but it's almost every game you're just thinking it's almost kind of it's just another one, and it's just kind of brilliant. You can keep doing it.
Yeah, and also I don't know when the last one's going to be, and that's not far away. So to enjoy everyone that I get, to do as well as I possibly can, and I think that's the biggest motivation now is not knowing when that end could be, that last ever game. So yeah, that's the motivation. Keep going, keep playing that extra game, and we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, and is there even 1% of you thinking that, one eye on the fact there's Greece, Belarus, and Denmark standing in the way of Scotland not qualifying for another World Cup, and that's at the end of this season? I mean, obviously it's difficult when you're in rehab and all you want to do is play a game, but is there even 1% of you thinking that's potentially some finish? That
a lot more than 1%, yeah. Let's just be honest. That would be the pinnacle. That would be the best way to finish. But yes, so many things have got to fall into place for that to happen. That feels a long way away at the moment, but step by step, I've done some crazy comebacks in my time already. So why not give it one last shot?
Yeah, that's it. Take Scotland out of that group stage, eh? I mean,
that's such a difficult group. Really good teams in there. Yeah. So it is going to be dog eat dog in that group. I think it's going to be really difficult for everybody to come out of that. So who knows? It's such a short format, only 6 games. So 3 months: September, October, November, and then you're going to know what the group standings are, and whether it's whether you're going through, whether it's a playoff or whether you're out. So it's not very far away. And yeah, I've definitely got an eye on that, but we've got an awful lot of work to do.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of Sunderland fans will hope that all the stars align for you there. But let's move on to your testimonial, because I imagine this takes some organising. I mean, how long ago would you say that the talks had to start between the two clubs to get it into pre-season?
Yeah, I mean, probably a while ago. I don't know exactly. But yeah, I think it's something that had been talked about. I didn't know whether it was going to happen or not. And it's always got to be between the club, and then there's a testimonial committee that gets set up on my behalf, and then everybody's got to sign contracts. So I don't actually know how all that worked, but yeah, absolutely delighted to have Sunderland. I wouldn't have wanted anybody else. So to have this game now, yeah, it's one I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, well, I know it kind of obviously fits because you played for the two clubs, but Sunderland, actually in the past, they've always been a popular club for testimonials for Rangers and Celtic. I remember, there's been quite a few played, but I remember Ian Ferguson's back in the day was against Sunderland. But I know Sunderland fans always love a trip north of the border for a pre-season testimonial. So I mean, I imagine you're thinking about a cracking atmosphere at Tynecastle.
Yeah, I think that will be great. They've always got a great travelling support. and with this being probably one of the closer games that you'll have all season, it's only a couple of hours up the road. They do travel in their numbers. But yeah, I think they'll really add to the atmosphere. We're going to get the whole stand behind the goals, which really lifts the atmosphere. And I think the Hearts fans will respond to that as well, and make it a proper game. I don't think it'll be an easy testimonial. I think it'll be a proper test, and both teams trying to do everything they can to get ready for the start of the season. I'm just hoping that we're maybe a week or so ahead in terms of our fitness, that we might actually be able to close that gap a little bit, because I watched a little bit of the 4-0 game just the other day, and a few of the goals were quite nice. So Sunderland have started well.
Yeah, well, Hearts got off to a good start as well. You won that first League Cup game, but and actually I was going to ask, because the season, I'm trying to think, Premier League season is at the 4th, the first game, so it's only the week after for Hearts. So will Hearts be looking at it to say, actually, let's have a decent run out for at least some of it, because it's only a week before the start of that season?
Yeah, I would think so. Our game's been pushed to the Monday for TV the following week, so we'll have 9 days off the back of the Sunderland game to get ready for that. So I think there'll be a lot of it. I'll be looking towards that game and trying things that we're looking to try and start the season with. So I think it'll be close to as strong a possible team as we can put out.
Yeah, maybe slow it down for that last 10 minutes when you come on and play the Messi role.
Yeah, that would be nice. If you could organise that for me, that would be great.
Well, I'm just quickly reading as well that is there going to be quite a few events this season for your kind of testimonial year?
Yeah, so we've got a few things starting to get organised. Golf day, ladies' day, a few other things. Obviously, a dinner as well. So yeah, there's a few things in the pipeline that are going to be trying to get something for everybody within the sort of fan base to reach out to everybody. Obviously the cost of these things as well, so trying to tailor it to different people, so everybody can hopefully join in with something or other a lot across the year. So right down to sort of quizzes and things like that, just to get out there and see everybody and celebrate the career and the sort of relationship I've had with the fans throughout. So looking forward to all those things and being able to get a bit closer to the fans and speak to them a bit more and join in with some of the activities.
Yeah, bloody hell, I'm not surprised you've got a testimonial committee looking after all of that.
They've done a super job, but it's been a lot of work.
Yeah, you'd never have time to play if you had to sort that out. Just quickly, in terms of the ticket sales, he says that they're going well. I had a quick look today. It only looked like single tickets in the stands I could see. So ticket sales going well for the game?
I think so. I don't know exactly what we're at. I'm sure Sunderland will sell out. It's a great stand behind the goal, really steep, and that they'll make a lot of noise coming from there. So looking forward to that. And the Hearts fans, obviously, we've got the League Cup group stages at the moment. So yeah, we're still getting there. There's still a few more to be had. There's still a bit of hospitality left as well. So there's still tickets to be had, and I'm hoping that we get a good crowd for the game, a good atmosphere, and a good match on the pitch.
Yeah, well, Sunderland fans will love a trip to Edinburgh in pre-season. I think it's one of the highlights on this our pre-season schedule. I think to a weekend up there, but yeah, it just leaves us to say we hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, Craig, and it all goes well. And really, I mean, all the best for the season ahead. I mean, I think a lot of Sunderland fans are going to be looking out to see how you get on this season.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks again, Craig. And a lot of Sunderland fans will enjoy the day up there, believe me. Yeah. Thanks again for everyone for listening. We'll have all the build-up covered to everything that's going on in pre-season on the Roker Report website, or pretty much daily releases on How We're the Podcast. But from us, bye for now.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.